Yo, let's talk about the Anime Vanguards document dropped at 4 a.m. when I was sleeping. So since I woke up until now, I've read it all 21 pages, all 21 lawyer pages, because, come on, Bicep had to lawyer up. After reading all 21 pages, I stood together in a Discord call with my community, making short notes. Basically, we wrote 4,000 words, which I'm gonna address in this video, explaining the document. But first of all, I actually gotta say this. I gotta say this. You write a document of 21 pages together with lawyers, and you still make grammatic mistakes. Like, I found at least 2 mistakes, maybe there are more. With lawyers. So basically, the notes that I've made is basically that talking about UTDX, where everything started, what the UTDX owner said was that he originally didn't want to get engaged with this Anime Vanguards drama and like the problems and what they were saying about him and something. And he came with the following points. UTDX wanted to be left alone and work on their own game, which I find totally not awesome. Like, you own your own game, the other person owns another game. You guys just you just want to work on your game and improve it as much as possible, which is totally fair. Apparently, Anime Vanguards didn't want to do that. UTDX owner is an original developer of Anime Vanguards. He said, and the problem is he's totally right. And when you're gonna get later down the document, you're gonna understand, well, if he was originally there before Anime Vanguards was launched, he knows more than most of us, like especially one of the owners and the main owner, Yuruzu, which I'm gonna talk about him later because he has some allegations on him as well. I found that guy to be extremely stupid after what I've read in the document. If he knows something about Anime Vanguards, it should be the owner of UTDX. He also has a claim that he could have bought Anime Vanguards from the original owner Kobo Ray, which Kobo is no longer with Anime Vanguards. I don't know that. It's not my business. He could have bought the game. That would have been maybe awesome, maybe not. We don't know. Then also, the owner of UTDX claims that the ownership and like developers worked in a dirty way, not only to get Kobo Ray out of the team so that they get his ownership by overworking him and burning him out, but also Kazi, like one of the former devs that I know most about, which he isn't out of fault. I have some like screenshots which are my dirty shit on him of how much of a garbage human being he is, but I'm not gonna disclose that because he has his own business. I'm not gonna get involved, but they basically, Anime Vanguards is like a PvP server for the ownership, claiming that the victims, like former Anime Vanguards employees or like workers or like freelancers, cried in his DMs without providing screenshots, but most likely we can believe that. I don't know. There are a lot of people who complain about Anime Vanguards that worked at Anime Vanguards, so that's probable. But I wouldn't understand why they were complaining in his DMs and not anybody else. But again, not my stuff. And another thing about UTDX, after everything was said and done, after the owner of UTDX said everything, Bicep played victim until he dropped the document, which he didn't really go on the offensive, but he still tried to claim victim. Like, he tried to victimize everything, like, oh, I'm so bad, and basically crying and trying to get pity points. Which, in my opinion, nobody really cares. Bicep is already out of like pity points from the community since like all the allegations against him, towards him, all the lawsuits that he's filing, and all the drama that Anime Vanguards has been in. Also, Bicep has been like the vocal point of Anime Vanguards when an update came or something is said. Bicep is always there, so people couldn't really care much. So these are my points and basically everything about UTDX. Now we are gonna go to Anime Vanguards and reading the document and saying everything about there. Hey, we on Anime Vanguards now. So Anime Vanguards together with Bicep dropped a document at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. So I couldn't immediately respond. So the very first thing that I want to note from Anime Vanguards in the document was that they accused the UTDX owner of deleting information. And while the whole drama between UTDX and Anime Vanguards was starting, the UTDX owner was going crazy in announcements, and he dropped the document, and like 5 minutes later he deleted it. So yeah, I know about that. Why he deleted it? He even said it in announcements. It was that it was too graphic, like too many big words. let's say, to 18 plus. Which in my opinion is a totally valid reason. And one thing that I want to note in the following point. Paistev claimed that the screenshots that the developer of UTD, the owner of UTD, shared in the announcements were out of context, like they were cropped out of context, built on lies. Well, I want to just say this. If they are built on lies and they are not true and they are cropped out of context, can't you provide the context with your own screenshots? Like, if you know what he's talking about, can't you provide the full context and the uncropped pictures? That way, people could actually trust you. Because I can say that, because nobody would believe you if you just say, oh, they're out of context. No, they are cropped. They are built on lies. Like, nobody's gonna trust you, bro. Provide the full context yourself. The following point needs some info. Before, there were 3 developers. Not long ago. It was Paistev, it was Yuruzu, and there was one more called or Kazi. If you guys ever made it into one of the stages were like Discord calls in which Anime Vanguards was talking about the updates, Kazi was the only owner out of the 3 of them that was there. Paistev almost never came, Yuruzu was never there, and Valk was always there, the developer that's gonna come up later as well. Valk was the one talking, but Kazi was there. So apparently, Kazi and the Boss Studio, that is owned by Brendan the Boss, are in a class action lawsuit against Anime Vanguards, which I don't know much about, and I don't really want to know. But yeah, the following thing that I want to say, that it's from the document, is that they are claiming that Kazi, for him to get ownership, used deceiving and dirty maneuvers to basically get the original owner, Kobore, out of power. And why did he say that? Basically to put blame on Kazi, coming along that he's in a lawsuit with him. Against him, actually. And the following point that I have from the document, and I'm totally against this, and I find it better this way it's public, because it's entertainment for us, but also what they claimed was that everything that was said should have gone to proper channels, I don't know what those proper channels are, or legal advice, or like legal channels. Why I don't really agree with that, first of all, content, like we can laugh a bit, and drama. Ooh, everybody loves drama. The thing is, they said it this way. First of all, this document is written by lawyers as well, so that's why. But second of all, it's because they don't want this to be public. They don't want people to know this. They just want this to be under wraps. But if you guys don't know this, the best example would be Logan Paul and the CoffeeZilla lawsuit. If you guys don't know, CoffeeZilla uncovered Logan Paul with a scam, and Logan Paul sued CoffeeZilla, and the lawsuit has been going on for years. So why does Anime Vanguards want to go to legal channels? First of all, avoid public knowledge. And second of all, it's built on money. Logan Paul is running this lawsuit until CoffeeZilla will run out of money, because lawsuits, it's not for who is right or wrong. It's for whoever has more money to drag on the lawsuit. And of course we know, since Anime Vanguards is one of the biggest game on Roblox, they have a lot of money, especially Paistev and the gang. And again, my following point is that Kazi and the Brendan the Boss, the owner of Boss Studios, are in an legal matter against Paistev. That comes, I believe, for Kazi's ownership, because he was taken off the team. I do not know. Again, this was kept away from the public. I don't really know much about that. But if it is true what it was said by the UTDX owner, that Kazi's share of the game was taken away, I am all the way with Brendan there. And Brendan will come up later, because I just remembered something about ALS, Anime Last Stand, and Brendan the Boss, which everybody laughed at him at that time, but now if I think about it, it makes much more sense. Oh, actually, my following point is about that. One claim that UTDX had was that Anime Vanguards is trying to sabotage him. Anime Vanguards outrightly denied sabotaging UTDX, but now that I thought about it, and here in my document, I'm even gonna show you guys, I've said, take it with a grain of salt, since there is nothing provided, there is no legs to stand on that the game is sabotaged. Why would another game sabotage another? Like competition, yeah, I understand, but why sabotage? And if you guys remember, Boss Studios and Brendan the Boss had one of their updates, I forgot which one, which came with delay over delay over delay. Why? They were claiming sabotage. How come the two biggest competitors of Anime Vanguards at the time, Brendan the Boss with Anime Last and back then, and UTDX now, claimed sabotage? Why would that happen? Does that seem like a coincidence? I think not, but still, these are just empty words. There is no screenshots or anything behind it, so you take whichever sides you want. Another thing that was really put emphasis on was like updates. People started claiming that Anime Vanguards is copying UTDX because Anime Vanguards, the following update is gonna be a Gear 5 Luffy. UTDX just has done a Gear 5 Luffy, so seems like copying. Totally false. Updates are planned months in advance, especially for a tower defense, so that's completely false, I gotta say that. But the following point, and I'm gonna ramble about this the most, like listen to this one, guys. Competitive analysis. They claim competitive analysis because this is why it originally exploded. The competitive analysis of Anime Vanguards. And why do I say that? It's a total lie. First of all, if you look at what Anime Vanguard said about UTDX, in a competitive analysis about what the game does better than us, you do not talk the way Anime Vanguards talked in those DMs. You never talk in like a competitive analysis like the way they talked. Not even in a friendly matter, since every one of them is like claimed to be friends in Anime Vanguards. You do not talk that way about the competition. I have some screenshots here, let me open them. As you can see, Bicep says, that's what I'm curious about, most as well. Because to me, it seems they are ulting and burning all their money, making everything easily obtainable, hoping Anime Vanguards dies before they do. You wanna know what's the problem? You guys do the same, especially with the new game mode, Odyssey, the new Odyssey Adventure game mode. You guys are burning the resources like your economy is shit. So comparing UTDX to your own game, like the economy is light and day. You guys suck when it comes to economy compared to UTDX. The following one comes still from Bicep, and this one is with emoji, and you guys can understand. Balancing in Anime Vanguards, the community is mad at the balancing because the balancing is to the roof. And everybody about UTDX, it's like we are brain-rotted kids and like, it's so good. The thing is, UTDX has so many mechanics on their unit, not only the statistics, not only the relics, which are not so easily obtained, not only the etherealization, like adding stars to the units to make them stronger, also the statistics on relics, like, they have so much more which matters, and stages are not so far easily. Bro, I can take a Kaguya from like a year ago, put the new Memoria on her, put the new a bird with like good stats, and I can clear the whole game. That's not a well-balanced game, and I'm not talking about using multiple uses. I'm using just Kaguya. I can play right now the Legend stage. I can play right now the last story. A game shouldn't be balanced that way. Just one unit from a year ago? No. A whole team from a year ago? That's more like it. And this is competitive analysis, guys. The following one, you guys can see Valk. This is competitive analysis in their eyes. You see they're updating again this weekend. LOL. That's competitive analysis. Their update schedule against Anime Vanguard's update schedule. They're doing good, but this pace isn't lasting. Of course, didn't last for Anime Last, and it wouldn't last for UTDX. Something must come along the way. I'm glad they are doing good, but yeah, is there. And of course, competitive analysis, ladies and gentlemen. That shit's a ticking time bomb. That's competitive analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Let's fucking go. This is why I'm so ticked off. That's not competitive analysis. That's just laid out hate. And here you guys can see again Valk. I had to get off UTD. Shit was so bad. Starting getting anime adventure flashbacks. I'm wondering how. Like I played the last update a bit. I didn't get anime adventure flashbacks. Bro, you wanna know what an anime adventure update is? You don't know, most likely. Since if you would know what an anime adventure is like, you wouldn't make your own updates totally opposite of the anime adventure updates were. And this time Easy is not like stopping the fire, it's putting wood on the fire. Like, people will still play and glaze it. And Valk, of course, with his competitive analysis from the competition. Oh, it's bad. Is people gonna glaze that? I legit don't care anymore. Like, legit, that's competitive analysis. Let's go. And of course, with their competitive analysis, Valk again, this time outright calls UTDX slop. And I'm sorry, my friend, compared to your last update, which you quite literally created a game mode for slop, that being Adventure Odyssey. I gotta say one thing. I wish I could get the old Valk, the one that was balancing the game like perfectly, the one that was creating the units perfectly, not the one that's now like this guy is throwing out units just because he's bored of the process. Like, just retire, my friend. And at the final competitive analysis that I want to present would be Bicep with Yo, I rage baited too hard. Which he said this after the UTDX owner started his attack on the announcements. Bicep goes like, Yo, I rage baited too hard. Like, congratulations, you dug your own grave. This whole drama started because you guys talked instead of like trying to provide a good update to actually compete. You guys tried to, first of all, insult the other game and the developers, which quite literally Valk did, calling it a slop, which I'm not denying. Like, you have an inbuilt macro, but who the hell cares about that? The numbers speak. In a game that has almost triple your numbers, if not actually triple, 3 times your numbers, I don't think you have room to talk, my friend. So, competitive analysis, totally not competitive analysis, just lying. And here comes the creme a la creme of the whole drama. Yuruzu. UTDX owner claimed that Yuruzu is predator. Like, I don't want to get in what he claimed Yuruzu because this video might get flagged. I'm not gonna make any money from this video either way, but I'm just too lazy. I don't want to get my channel banned for just saying what Yuruzu did. Like that would be bad. But getting in the Yuruzu problem, even Bicep said behavior 100% not good. Like, Yuruzu is the problem, one of the problems. They should, and this is my take, they should remove him from the team, like totally. Problem is, Yuruzu is a complete owner of Anime Vanguards. The game Anime Vanguards has to be connected to a Roblox account, and that Roblox account is Yuruzu's. So the only way that they would get ownership of Anime Vanguards and they would be able to remove Yuruzu from the dev team is if they take his account. And how do you do that? I don't really know. You buy him out. But yeah, Yuruzu, even Bicep said, Yuruzu hasn't been working on the game for months. And if you go into the Discord server of Anime Vanguards and look when was the last time Yuruzu talked about Anime Vanguards, it was in January. And in January, he didn't even talk about Anime Vanguards. He talked about Minecraft. The last time when he actually talked about Anime Vanguards was before Christmas. Now think about that. We're almost half a year in. That guy last time talked about Anime Vanguards in his own Discord server a year ago. Or half a year ago, like before Christmas. So, Yuzu is a big problem. Even Bicep and the lawyer said that. And what could you do? The only thing I can see is buy him out, buy his account out, and get him off the team. But for that, I don't know. Maybe they tried, Yuzu doesn't want to sell, it is what it is. The game is just gonna die. Because Yuzu as an owner, he siphons the most money. And as long as Yuzu is gonna pay the developers, I don't think they have any legal ground to take him off the team. I don't even know if they want to take him off the team. But due to the fact that he's taking a majority of the money for doing absolutely nothing and not even helping or working, like Kobore did, like the original creator, which they took him off the team because he didn't work for a week, I believe. If you look at the comments, there was a comment from Bicep that was like a week old saying that Kobore didn't work for a week, because we don't actually know what went there. Maybe Kobore had some health issues or whatever, I don't know, it wasn't specified. But yeah, that's the Yuruzu problem. The biggest problem in Anime Vanguards at the moment, in my opinion. Then it comes the Leon situation, and this situation is hella dirty, hella bad. I don't even want to get into it, but a former artist, which apparently it was a female because Bicep was addressing to her as a she in the document, I believe she was accused of grooming or whatever. I don't really know the situation, I didn't want to know, but basically the whole story from my understanding was that she got reported for grooming, essay and something from someone. Anime Vanguards took it with a grain of salt because the person that was accusing Lin had grooming allegations of himself, had like, I don't know, he had allegations on himself and he was sending allegations towards Lin. And Anime Vanguards didn't take Lin off the team. But when more and more reports started coming in with Lin's allegations, they decided to take Lin off the team. And they didn't publicly say that they took Lin off the team. I remember Lin being one of the original artists in the Anime Vanguards when they dropped the Memorias. I remember Lin promoting her X account for the Memorias. And I don't remember there being like, oh, we dropped Lin off the team or something. And again, same with the former owner, Kazi. I didn't even know he was of the team before this document. But yeah, they didn't apologize about leaving Lin in the team, even though, well, I mean, bad Paisef, what can I say? And I gotta say this. The following, I'm not gonna protect Paisef. I really hate Paisef as a human being. What I hate more is lying and something. Paisef is accused of PDFing again. First of all, this was disproven the first time. Second of all, nobody has like a perfect reputation, especially Paisef, but I do not believe he's a PDF. He sometimes has bad intention, he sometimes has bad actions. He's not the nicest human being if you ask me, but due to everything that is given by Paisef, since is the guy that is accused of PDFing, he's providing very good information that he's not. Like, again, can we stop calling him a PDF? Again, I'm not defending him, just don't call him a PDF. Call him a weirdo. That's even better. Might not be as damaging, but at the same time, you as a human are not garbage. Because apparently he's hurting himself, he's cutting his wrists, and he's trying to end himself, which again, I totally don't agree with. Like, I don't see why a person should end themselves because somebody else talks bad about them on the internet. But, there is nothing to be done, just don't call him a PDF, call him a weirdo in my opinion. I totally am agreeing with that, since, yeah, he's not normal either. And the following, again, is about Paisef, which he addressed, bad jokes. And what I mean by bad jokes would be 18 plus jokes, would be racist jokes, it would be across the line jokes in most countries. And all I want to say, they should not be accepted. However, but they would not be as bad in a private setting with your boys, with your fans. Maybe they wouldn't be as bad if you're talking about in a DMs or in a group chat. No, this have been done in a server, in a Discord server, with the public, with people that he doesn't know. That's bad. I'm just saying, how many times did you call your boy the N-word in DMs? Yeah, I know you, white boy. How many times did you call him the N-word? I'm just saying. Just because it was in a public server, that's the only thing that's bad. Not the jokes itself, I feel. And throughout this whole document, Paisef kept apologizing, like, yeah, this, I've bad, I've grown, like, I shouldn't have said that, now that I'm in a professional matter, I shouldn't have, then, all those, like, excuses bullshit. And not once he owns up to it. And I just gotta say, when you're apologizing for making some jokes in the past, I feel like that's the worst thing that you could do. I feel like that's the worst thing you could do. What I feel like, you could own up to it. You could just say, yeah, I've said those things, I regret for saying those things, my bad, live on. Not, I'm so sorry, if anybody was hurt, I'm sorry. If anybody don't understand the joke, I'm sorry for you being stupid. Apologizing for everything doesn't help. Even in a professional setting. If you want people to accept you and respect you, just say, oh, I said those things, you own up to it, my bad, I made a mistake back then, I'm not gonna do it again. There you go. It's even better than apologizing for everything he said. He didn't own up once. And there is one thing in this whole document, which, I'm not a bully, I don't want to be a bully, I don't like being a bully, because I was bullied in school. But, I gotta point this out. After this text, how could you not bully Paisef? It was a meme/persona joke. I was joking as if I were the dramatic, scary, alpha male type character, which is why I sent it with a wolf image. That joke was obviously sarcasm in context, especially because my presentation in that space was feminine/fanboy. How could you not bully the guy after this? Why would you say this? In a document trying to escape yourself from being hated, you're dropping this! You're just putting more wood on the fire! It's kinda like Looney Tunes, shot yourself in the leg and ow 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 it hurts, what the fuck? How could you not bully Paisef after that one? The following one was Mr. Rhino. If you guys don't know who Mr. Rhino is, it's a very big content creator. I don't know from where, he's Asian because he has those eyes. And Paisef made a joke about Mr. Rhino, which was taken way too far. Again, people calling him a PDF and again, out of this joke. Again, just call him a weirdo. He's a weirdo for this joke. Apparently, Paisef said, in the comment section of Mr. Rhino, people were asking Mr. Rhino if he's queer. If you guys don't know, queer is like a sort of sexuality. I'm not with the LGBTQ premium. I think that's why the plus stands for premium. I don't know why color rainbow has to be premium. But basically, in a public setting, in a public Discord general server, Paisev asks Mr. Rhino if he's queer, thinking it's funny. It's not funny. And one thing that I have to say about this, first of all, shame on you, Paisev. Second of all, he said that he saw it in his comment section. Would you mind providing us with some screenshots of people in the comment section of Mr. Rhino calling him a queer? That way we can somewhat understand the joke, but this way just you saying it, oh, I saw it in his comment section, somebody was asking, so I thought I should do it in a public general server. The difference is, in a comment section, when you drop a comment, nobody might see it, not even the content creator. Especially somebody of Mr. Rhino's size. Like, Mr. Rhino is huge, he has hundreds of thousands of subs. But in a public general server, which is active and a lot of people see it, and especially you, as the owner of the game, a lot of people are gonna see everything that you type. So something of that sort has some weight behind it. So again, that's weird from you. And the following thing came about Paisev's relationships. Apparently, Paisev had a relationship with a guy, because he has some cuckoo. He had a relationship with a guy. Paisev was 17, almost 18 within a week. And the guy was like 16 and a half. And everybody called him, again, a PDF for trying to be in a relationship with a guy that was, quote-unquote, underage, while Paisev is overage. He wasn't yet 18, but he were to be. In my opinion, you guys are just retarded. And I'm just gonna call you, the viewer, retarded for calling Paisev a PDF for trying to be together with somebody of 16 when he wasn't 18 yet himself. And I'm saying that because, first of all, the difference isn't even that huge. If the parents would know about the relationships and they would agree, that would have been okay if nothing happens, if nothing 18 plus happens. But this, if nothing went further between a 16-year-old and 18-year-old. Nothing went further than what Paisev claimed, and that was flirting. If a 16 and 18-year-old flirt, and that's everything they do. They don't send pictures, don't meet each other, they don't nothing, they just flirt, then that's totally alright. And again, you the viewer that called Paisev a PDF for trying to be together with somebody and find love in his own weird way, you're the weirdo here, not him. The following comment after this relationship was 18 plus, which I don't really care. I don't want to get into 18 plus. And I don't think you want either. Like 18 plus, it's not our cup of tea. We are here for drama, not relationships. And now the following is Khalil. And if you guys don't know who Khalil is the original guy who reported Paisev for being a PDF when Anime Vanguards launched almost 2 years ago. He called him a PDF and he made a whole talk about PDF, which was disproven. And I totally don't want to talk about the guy. I totally don't want to talk about the Khalil situation because I don't really care. Because no new information was provided from my knowledge. So everything is just, again, a thing from the past. It was already resolved. It was clarified. Who cares? Basically, Paisev was not found to be a PDF, just like I said earlier in this document. And now that I finished addressing almost everything from the document, I want to say, in this whole document, Paisev barely takes responsibility for anything claimed by UTDX owners. Everything was refuted. He doesn't own up to anything. He doesn't apologize for anything he has done. He doesn't apologize for anything. Not even for his bad racist or whatever jokes. No, he doesn't apologize. He doesn't own up to anything. And the last thing that is said in the document is that, as I said earlier in the document, and I'm gonna repeat it so that you guys might know for sure, claiming that everything should have gone to legal channels or legal matters, but that would have been even worse. First of all, because the public wouldn't know. Second of all, the public couldn't support whoever they wanted. And third of all, they don't want this to be public. Why? Because, first of all, both sides look wrong. It makes them lose money. It makes them lose credibility. It makes them lose fans. Because after the drama is done and the dopamine is gone, people would be like, why am I here? I should go. And they will go on for next. So they will lose players. They will lose everything. And because money. Like, everything is about money. They will lose huge amount of money because people will leave. And if they go in a lawsuit, the guy with the most money, as I said, they want to do the Logan Paul and CoffeeZilla thing. They get in a lawsuit and drag it out as much as possible so that the person with the most money wins. So that the second person must withdraw, like surrender, because they don't got money to continue. And this was the whole document. This is the most that I want to talk about. And this is what I mostly understood from. If I misrepresented something or misunderstood something, my bad, but this is what I got. And I gotta say, on nobody's side personally, but I'm leaning more towards UTDX. And that's because Anime Vanguards has been in so many dramas, in so many lawsuits, in so many allegations, in so many bullshits. And I'm just asking, in how many allegations, and in how many dramas, and in how many everything do you have to go and people still would believe in you? Like, again, you had the Kilil, you got new now the Yuruzu thing, now, and you have so much more behind the history. The Kazi, former owner of UTD, is now in a lawsuit against them. Why would Kazi go in a lawsuit against its own brand that he worked for and owned for a period of time? Why would a former owner go in a lawsuit against you? You see? And again, the claim about sabotage, I don't really agree with that one. But now if you think about it, Brendan claimed sabotage and UTDX is claiming sabotage themselves right now, so something might be there, but we don't have any proof. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this helped you understand a little more of everything, and if you don't mind subscribing and leaving a like, maybe the next video would be even more spicy. Bye.